Week 3 proved beyond a reasonable doubt who the pretenders and contenders were. So I'm going to build off of that with my Week 4 super abridged predictions. I'll still probably do better than the experts because I actually know what I'm talking about and I watched the highlights. Amongst those predictions is the Vikings running over the Packers and the Bills destroying the Ravens. Now, all the favorites are not going to win this weekend. There are going to be some upsets, and I will be predicting them. Therefore, you don't want to miss the prediction for the Monday night game, so don't skip it. Let's start off Week 4 with the highly anticipated Vikings at Packers. You might remember me as that guy that used to make fun of the Vikings back in 2022 after the Bills lost. Well, it looks like I actually memed of the Vikings into a great winning team because now look at them. They look unstoppable, and I actually couldn't be happier for them. They dominated the Texans in more ways than one. While the Vikings offense was impressive, the defense was even more impressive by holding the Texans to a measly 7 points and haunting Stroud at will. The interception on the Texans' opening drive gave the Vikings the initiative, and they never looked back. Once Darnold found JJ for a wide open touchdown, it was over. The Vikings D-line also got a nice sack on Stroud, completely shutting them out in the second half. Then in the second half, Darnold skillfully guided the offense to touchdown after field goal to completely take over the game. The Packers, on the other hand, have looked amazing, but that's because their opponents have sucked so far. Although they easily beat the Titans last week, it's not that hard to do when you're up against Will Team Killer Levis, who continuously turns over the ball more than Tua. Still, the Packers' offense and defense are both dynamic, so it could go either way. If the Packers' offense puts up a good fight, then it could turn out into a fun little shootout. And if the Packers' D can step up huge, and I mean huge, and make Darnold look like Levis, then they actually have a shot at this. However, I believe the high-powered Vikings will be way too much for the Packers to handle, even if Jordan Love returns. Vikings-Packers 31-20.
Let's move on to the next 1 p.m. game, which is Steelers at Colts. Now, the Steelers' offense might not be great. Actually, it's quite mid. But it was good enough to score 20 and run out the clock. Literally, to beat the Chargers' number 6 defense. Fields also looks surprisingly competent, so that gives me more confidence in their offense, especially when you got a guy like Austin on your side. Damn, he's fast. The Steelers' defense, however, is so dominant that they will eat Richardson alive. The Steelers' defense held the Chargers to 10 points all game and completely shut out the Chargers in the second half. Granted, Herbert did exit in the third, but if I'm not mistaken, Herbert was there for the entire first half, and he sucked because he only scored 1 touchdown. Like most of their division, the Colts have been looking like dog all season on both sides of the ball all season. They also really suck on 4th down on both sides of the ball. Although that was a great throw by Richardson right there. Wow, I didn't know he could do that. Maybe he doesn't suck as much as just kidding, he sucks. The only good thing about the Colts is Jonathan Taylor, as seen in this amazing rushing touchdown. But other than that, they got nothing. Nothing. So it's going to be a Steelers ground and pound all day. Steelers 20-10. Now let's talk about the Saints at Falcons on Fox. Oh man, the Saints and Falcons both sold hard against their respective Week 3 opponents. The Saints screwed around for 3 quarters, failed a 2-point conversion, and gave up a massive first down late in the 4th quarter to seal their fate. Oh, and there's this game-losing interception by Carr. Way to go. All of that combined with Barkley running up their ass all game. You know, after seeing the Saints blow out their opponents in weeks 1 and 2, I actually thought they were going to do the same to the Eagles. I guess Derek Carr's balls fell off right before the game. Shame. Now, the Falcons also had a chance to put the game away late in the 4th, but they failed to convert on 31, and then I don't know what the hell that was on 4th and 1. Like, that has got to be the dumbest call on 4th and 1 in NFL history. Seriously, bro. The Falcons' stupidity on coaching is going to be their undoing this season. In a battle of mids, I'm going to take the Saints because at least they've blown out 2 opponents, and they've been looking much more consistent than the Falcons, who literally need the other team to have a meltdown, Eagles, in order to win. Next up is Broncos at Jets. Ooh, this is going to be a good one. The Broncos upsetting the Bucs last week was actually quite a surprise and quite hilarious. The Broncos did have to kick 4 field goals, though. 4 field goals, though. And that was up against the Bucs' weak-ass 6th worst total defense. The Broncos' offense is good, but not great. Kind of like the Steelers. Still, Bo Nix looked great, But I'm curious to see how that transfers against the Jets D, where touchdowns will be a rare commodity. The Broncos' number 3 defense did come up with some good takeaways against Mayfield, which could also give Rodgers hell, and I hope they do. After nearly shutting out the Pats, the Jets look amazing, and they look like they could actually be a minor character threat. Brissett got absolutely manhandled last week, and I wonder if the same is going to happen to Nix. Time to see what he's made of. Also really curious to see how Rodgers measures up against this strong Broncos D. It's going to be a battle of defenses, but somehow the Jets are going to pull this one out of their ass 24-17. Now it's time to talk about the E-Girls at the Bucks. I think that's still happening, right? Anyways, Mayfield looked completely baked against the Broncos last week. I mean, the dude looked totally lost, and like he looked like he was playing for the Browns again. Let's be real. The Bucks defense also played poorly and let Nix do literally whatever he wanted. Wait, haven't I talked about this before? Oh yeah, that's right, I just did. If Mayfield can't find his balls again before Sunday, they're definitely gonna get blown out again. Their defense ain't stopping nothing, especially against Barkley. For real, bro. That guy is going to run train on them just like he ran train on everybody else this season. If the Philadelphia Barkleys can play just as well as they did against the Saints, which honestly was not that great, they'll still be able to pull the dub out of their ass because the Bucks ain't doing shit.
Moving on to Sunday Night Football, we've got the Buffalo Bills at the Baltimore Ravens on NBC. Of course, this prediction's why you're here watching this video, right? Honestly, this is going to be a tough matchup because it's going to be the Bills' first real challenge this season. The Ravens have a super high-powered run offense, which is actually the Bills' greatest weakness, being 16th in rushing defense. The big thing the Bills can and will capitalize on is stuff like this 3rd and long play where the Cowboys D swarmed Lamar and forced him to make a less than ideal throw that resulted in a punt. If the Bills bring the same pressure that they have all season so far, Lamar will have some real issues even with his dynamic running ability because he's going to be forced to throw far often than he'd wish. And if the Bills can consistently take away Henry's impact like the Cowboys managed to here, then the Ravens offense could be in deep The good news for the Bills is the Ravens' alligator mouth is severely undermined by its hummingbird's ass defense, which ranks dead last in passing defense, despite being first in rushing defense. That means Allen is gonna have a field day against the Ravens through the air. Air Allen is coming back out. As the Ravens clearly showed against the Cowboys late in the 4th, they had a lot of trouble stopping Dak through the air. The Ravens were up against the Cowboys similarly to how the Bills were up against the Jags, but then the Ravens completely took their foot off the gas in the 4th and almost let the Cowboys win. This laziness and lack of discipline is what the Bills can capitalize on and hope that even if the Ravens do come out with a lead, they'll end up throwing it away anyways because they're gonna get lazy and the Bills will take advantage. Just like their last matchup, where they caught them off guard in the end with a game-winning field goal. That was funny. Since the Ravens have been looking like a car that was built on a Friday, and the Bills have been looking like a brand new Rari, I'm going Bills all the way, baby. Allen gonna drop a 30 burger on the Ravens, and Lamar's gonna be lucky to score 20. Bills 38-20. And last but not least, we have the Seahawks at the Lions on ABC. Man, the Seahawks have had it so easy the last 2 weeks. One, it's honestly quite sad that they let the Pats force OT in week 2. And then last week against the dongless Dolphins, it's not a surprise that they won considering that they were up against one of the worst quarterbacks ever, and the Dolphins offense was so afraid to go for it on 4th and 1 that they settled for a field goal that they couldn't even make. Last week, the Lions devoured the Cards and had quite a few tricks up their sleeve, if you know what I mean. Damn, that trick play was awesome, yo. The Lions-Cardinals game really was a tale of two stories because you look at the first half and the Lions offense was super dynamic and super fun to watch. And then in the second half, they completely fell asleep and got completely shut out. Right before the half was crucial to their dub because they scored a touchdown and only left the Cards 29 seconds to score 3. So that gave them the upper hand that they needed in order to pull away, even though they got shut out in the second half. Funny how that works. As for the Lions D, they ate Murray alive and are definitely going to do the same thing to Smith. Both teams have superior defenses that have held teams so far to 20 points or less this season, which is actually quite impressive, but both offenses are pretty vanilla, so that could be an issue for them as well. This could just be a big defensive, what do you call it, boring game to watch? Yeah. Now, if the Seahawks can shut out Goff just like the Cardinals did in the second half, then the Lions are going to be in deep trouble. However, it might not be enough to cover Smith's miscalculations, including 2 ridiculously sus interceptions that he threw last week. I mean, come on, bro. What the hell were you even thinking? If Smith plays like that, I guarantee the Lions will not be forgiving because they're going to return with touchdowns. I'm roaring with the Lions on this one, especially because they love to snap winning streaks. Lions 27-20.
How did you like my predictions? How well did they compare to yours? Comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Subscribe for more hilarious weekly NFL predictions. Go Bills!